So hello, EXED 520 students. This is your orientation to the items that are contained in Module 1 of the course, which is where we're going to be starting. The first thing you'll see is a brief PowerPoint which basically has an overview of what you're expected to do with the items. It's a one-page summary of what is in the module and what the expectations are. So the first thing is to be sure that you read the first chapter of the Tomlinson text that outlines the principles of differentiation and what is differentiated and the who of differentiation. It's an overview. It contains the beliefs that are the basis for differentiation. The second thing is a brief PowerPoint on basically that chapter that summarizes the key points that will be good for you to review in order to answer some of the questions that you're going to be responding to on the discussion board. Then there's a video of a new teacher who is trying to differentiate and a description of some of the challenges that she faces when she's differentiating for her classroom and some of the ways that she's been able to address differentiation. It lasts about 13-14 minutes. And then there's a lesson plan template that will be the basis for your differentiated lesson plan that's due the last week of the course. A website that will give you a number of different examples of differentiated lesson plans, a differentiated central, and the lesson plan rubric. There are also the questions that you'll be responsible to respond to on the discussion board, and those are: what are the student characteristics that are the basis for differentiation? And what are the elements of instruction that are differentiated? What are the teacher beliefs that are important that facilitate differentiation? And then, based on the video that you saw, what are some of the challenges that a teacher faces who is learning to differentiate? And finally, I'm going to ask you to add your own question or comment or observation when you make your post. So let's take a further look. This is the PowerPoint that outlines the key points in the Tomlinson chapter, chapter 1. And we can just it's a philosophy or a set of principles that guide methods you teach. So it goes on to define differentiation. And then here are the beliefs that are the basis for differentiation. And there are 7. And then this slide gives you what you are differentiating on the left-hand side. So this is a content that you would be differentiating. And then these are the student characteristics along the top that would be the basis for differentiation. So you're going to be differentiating based on the student's level of readiness, their interest, and their learning profiles. And then in this case you're differentiating the content. So what you see in each of these columns are examples of ways that you could differentiate content based on those 3 different student characteristics. Then it goes on to differentiating process based on those same 3 different characteristics. And of course process is the teaching methods that you use to deliver the content of the lesson. And then finally, using those same 3 student characteristics, how would you differentiate the products that students are able to use to demonstrate to you whether or not they've mastered the content? And typically when you're looking at products, you're looking at students' interests and their strengths as far as the best ways that they can express what they've learned. The next item is the lesson plan template. Those of you that have taken the reading course, and that's most of you, will recognize this template. It's got the objective, the materials needed, and of course you recognize that these are all things that you're going to describe that you will do before the lesson starts. The time it'll take to conduct the lesson, how you would activate background knowledge for students. And this is an important addition, and it's got to do with what types of data are you going to review to determine what your students' interests are, what their learning profiles are, and their level of readiness. So this is something that's very important when you're differentiating, because you want to make sure that the methods that you use to differentiate and the techniques that you use are linked to data on students' interest, readiness, and learning profiles. Then you have, during the lesson, your step-by-step description of what you're going to be doing. And then this is a critical aspect of it, and that is, how are you going to differentiate? How are you going to differentiate content, process, and product? And that should be described in detail as a part of the lesson. And then finally, how are you going to assess your students' mastery of the lesson? And when it comes to differentiation, you want to be particularly careful about describing how you're going to use those data to inform your instruction. So how will this assessment be formative? How will it help you decide, based on the results that you obtain from this assessment, how you might change future lessons to improve your ability to differentiate so that students are better able to master the content. Now, you won't have any actual results here because you're not actually delivering the lesson, but you could hypothesize how you might change future lessons based on possible results that you might obtain. So this is not going to open in Canvas directly, so you'll need to go here and open it as an external URL. And this is the web page for Differentiation Central. And it's really a great resource for you, not only for this course, but when you continue to differentiate, as I hope you'll do when you're teaching. So it's got some samples here of different lesson plans. It's got broken down by grade level, different subject areas. And it's got some strategies for you to use, like the concept development model and various others. It's got some sample knowledge, understanding, and do objectives, KUDs, and ways of setting those up, which will be good for you to review for your lesson that you're putting together. Several articles. The templates are going to be less relevant because I'm going to expect that you use the one that I provided, unless you have a really compelling reason to pick a different template. Then it's got various websites, multimedia, just a really good website on resources for differentiation. And then back to Canvas, the last or second to last item is the lesson plan rubric. And again, those of you that have taken the reading course will recognize this to some extent, but it includes some of the things that I'll be looking for specifically as it relates to differentiation, and also the kinds of information that you should be using in your pre-assessment. So you can take the time to look at it. I just wanted to make sure that you had a general understanding of the items that are in the module before you got started. And then finally, I won't click on this, but this is where the link to the video is. As I said, it's about 13-14 minutes, pretty fast-paced and pretty interesting. So good luck on Module 1, and let me know if you have any questions.